Before this video begins, I do want to say and give out just a public apology. I am really sorry for the audio quality of my microphone in this video. There was a mishap that was going on between some kind of corruption within my Windows from the previous update, and it had defaulted all of my settings inside of my Streamlabs OBS setup, and I didn't understand and know until after the recording. And I just really want to just say I'm sorry for that. You know, I kind of just feel like I really let people down that might have been looking forward to this video or something like that, or just, I don't know. I'm such a big audio head that I hate when stuff like this happens, and I'm trying my best to not let these types of things get in the way of me posting stuff or get in the way of things more often. I guess you could say I'm letting you guys see more of my failures, you could say, but it just really irked me. The audio is essentially coming from my PlayStation controller that's plugged in to the computer that I use for games where I'm racing or I'm driving, because I don't like the feel of driving on keyboard and mouse. So I keep my PlayStation controller, one of them, plugged in, and I forgot to click the setting that says do not allow for it to be used as an audio device and a microphone. So it's being used in both settings. So like the audio you're hearing is all coming from the PlayStation controller. And again, I just want to apologize for that in advance. As you can clearly hear, this is much better mic quality than what you're about to hear. Again, I apologize.
Seeing as we've kind of been focusing a lot on Dragon Ball content on the channel as of late, I kind of wanted to visit a topic that I know a lot of people feel strongly about, and I'll probably be on the end of the stick on this one. Do let me know in the comments down below, what do you think was a better continuation story? And if you was to say everything is canonically connected, just hypothetically speaking, do you think GT still fits within the canon, like really good? Like, does it still fit well within the story now having Super? Like, could technically scale Baby and Super Saiyan 4 and be like, this is kinda stronger than God, seeing as like Goku absorbed God form into his like base form and stuff in Super and all that? Or you could just be like, nah, Super blows it out of the water, whatever. I'm just not a really big lover of Super in general. What does all this mean? Well, for this first a minute and 45 seconds, wasting your time, we have a video here that we are going to be reacting to. So we are going to be reacting to this video right here, how GT understood Dragon Ball and how Super didn't. What the original creator right here, Kumo Bear, 13.7 thousand subscribers, almost 1 million views video. He posted this 10 months ago. Obviously, I'm just now. Let's jump into it.
Now, I'm gonna be honest. I think Dragon Ball Super and Dragon Ball GT are both pretty bad.
I disagree. I disagree. Now, hear me out. Hear me out. GT isn't great. Super isn't great. Both of them have great moments. Both of them have really ass moments. The majority of them have really bad moments. Both of them. And the animation quality of Super is just overall, I feel like, way worse long term than GT. Like, GT still has kind of like the old school animation quality. So we're not basing it off of how that looks in that aesthetics. Quite literally, just design wise, look at this image that we're looking at right now. Who drew that? Who animated that? It was like, I'm pressed for time. This is passable. They were pressed for time with GT too. They just lacked in the story department. At least animate your shit to look better. I mean, again, both are not great. They have great moments, have really bad moments, and they're littered with just like overall just bad stuff in the shows. I do think GT is a good show.
Continuations or sequels of Dragon Ball, they do not hold up, not even close. But with that being said, I still have infinitely more respect and enjoyment for Dragon Ball GT. And the reason for that is because GT actually seems like it has some sort of understanding of the franchise.
GT feels like it actually has an understanding of the continuity. Correct me if I'm wrong. If I can find it, I'll put it up on screen. There was something that either Bandai or some Funimation, whatever studio that Akira Toriyama worked with for a lot of the animations, it could have been Toei, where there's like some main studio that animates them, and inside of their main office, it has a canonical chronological order of everything, and Super is there, and so is GT. I think maybe the Dragon Ball fandom as a whole could be actually wrong. I think maybe everything is genuinely connected, and we just like to have our own biases. I don't know. That's just me looking at some shit on the internet.
It feels like it actually could have been written by Toriyama, if Toriyama was a terrible writer, but still. As much as I don't really enjoy GT, it at least doesn't ruin certain characters or retcon important plot details and mechanics every other episode. One of the biggest instances of Super not understanding Dragon Ball, I think, is with its transformations. Dragon Ball GT introduces one new transformation in the whole show, and it's Super Saiyan 4, one of the best transformations in the franchise. Paying homage to Goku and the Saiyan's origin, it's also just a really smart solution for the next Super Saiyan design. Because up to this point, the hair of the Super Saiyans had gotten longer and longer with each transformation, to the point where if Super Saiyan 4 would have had even longer hair than 3 did,
this is why, also like this image right here, just make it white, Dragon Ball AF, right? I just didn't understand the whole Super Saiyan 5 should be white hair. It's a cool design, don't get me wrong. I just don't really like it, nor do I understand. I feel like the design has to be understandable. It makes sense. Even if you don't get it at the moment, it should make sense some type of way. And even though them transforming into Super Saiyan 4 didn't necessarily make sense, the design, and if you was to explain it to somebody, does legitimately make sense. Like, it makes sense. Oh, they have more tapped into their great ape, their ancestors, their Saiyan blood. Like, it feels like they're actually tapped in to the roots rather than I have blue hair now because God mode. Now, I love Super Saiyan God in itself. I don't love Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan, which is Super Saiyan, right? I do not like that just because I'm a really big fan of a transformation being visibly different and it actually looks like you have transformed. That is one of the reasons why I'm not the biggest fan of Ultimate Gohan, but I'm a bigger fan of like Super Saiyan 2 Gohan. And I'm not a fan of Super Saiyan 2 on any other character at all. Super Saiyan 2 is Gohan's transformation. That's how I see it in my brain. That's how I always process it. Everybody else can use Super Saiyan 2, but it doesn't look as good as it does on Gohan because Gohan owns Super Saiyan 2. That shit literally looks like his transformation. It was made for him, and it's golden. My favorite transformation throughout the entire show is Super Saiyan 4 alongside Kaioken. I love Kaioken. You can physically see Goku getting more buff, getting brolic, literally veins going, throbbing all throughout his body, and you can see him like tearing his muscles apart with his Kamehameha waves, and him like literally like bleeding damn near just from how much he's pushing his body to just fight through. I'm overwhelmed by this crazy force, this crazy enemy, this crazy entity, and I gotta go power up. Until they got to the point where it was just like, yeah, it's his base form now. His Super Saiyan, his Kaioken times 20 just looks like base form shit. Like, that was kind of, I was like, damn, that sucks. So I really liked being able to see that red, deep aura around him, and then see his hair get even more black, and it's just like the lines around him got more defined. You just knew, like, oh, he's about to rough this shit out. He's about to go crazy, right? Super Saiyan God, the reason I like Super Saiyan God is that it's just a prettier, more like 4K version of Kaioken. When he did Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken, I was like, oh, that's fire. It's bringing it back to some like original thinking from the OG Z, right? Where he was fighting, I think it was Pycon, and he was like, oh, I need to go do this. and it was technically a filler thing. It wasn't actually in manga, but like, who cares, right? Who cares? I'm a huge believer of if some shit is in the anime and the anime is semi-directed by the creator of the show, it's still canon, bro. You can say filler because it's not in manga. You gotta understand that when people put shit out in the manga, you are on a crunch time limit, bro. You imagine you are as good as drawing as these other artists out here. Attack on Titan, you know, freaking Dragon Ball, Naruto, whatever your preference is. Imagine your favorite anime, you are the creator. Are you able to make an entire chapter that is, mind you, usually like 20 to like 100 pages long, give or take, in 1 week? You're basically given 1 week to draw all of that, give it to editors, let them scale on it, and do a whole bunch of stuff. Like, you have to be that good, that precise, and that coordinated with your team. And so, at times, some stuff gets caught out. Like, you're rushing yourself. People be complaining when all these mangakas take all these days and breaks off. It's like, give them their breaks, bro, because they could be working on their breaks so that it could make their scans a little bit easier when they actually show up for the actual job. Like, you never know, right? People be always complaining about One Piece, Oda, like him taking breaks, but he's probably thinking about his story and drawing stuff, maybe on his off time. He could not be. He might actually be enjoying his breaks, but like, they be stressing themselves out a lot for your entertainment, bro. Being an entertainer is a rough job as an artist that's pushed on a weekly basis to put some real good shit out. So when you get to the animation and you're not put on that type of like timing and you're actually incentivized to make it last longer, hell yeah. If it was me, I'm like, yeah, there was some stuff I wanted to put in. I just didn't have the time to draw it. I had to cut it out. So I want to put it in the anime. So that's why I'm a big advocate for quote unquote filler arcs. Is like, it's still technically a part of the story. And if it wasn't, why do they show quote unquote filler arc shit in the anime towards like the ending? Be like, oh, they wrote certain characters in that wasn't in the manga, but it's in the anime version because they're keeping the continuity correct and they know that the majority of people are going to watch this version of it. Do they cut some stuff out of the manga? Sure. But adversely, again, you could think about it this way. Maybe in your mind, you was like, I'm on a crunch time. I really impressed. I'm just going to draw this shit in because it makes sense right now. And maybe you didn't even really want that in. And instead you wanted the filler thing there.
Would just look kind of ridiculous. But GT solves this in a perfect way. Dragon Ball Super, on the other hand, has Super Saiyan 1 but blue. There is zero originality or innovation with any of the transformations in Super. And it's just so goddamn many of them. We have base form Goku but with red hair. Super Saiyan but with blue hair. Super Saiyan but pink. Frieza except he's yellow. Frieza
except he's black.
Super Saiyan blue but slightly lighter blue. Broly but female. Super Saiyan Trunks but really angry. Super Saiyan God but white. I can at least give a lot of props to Ultra Instinct for being very unique in its concept, but there is like...
I'm a fan of Ultra Instinct as a concept. Hate the design. Love the aura. It was hype to watch it though.
10 new transformations in Super at least versus GT's 1. Unless you want to count like Golden Great Ape and stuff. And what I really hate is when people say, oh, but Dragon Ball has always been about cool new transformations and fighting. Especially because they're big.
When people say Dragon Ball and they leave out Z, right? I know that majority of the time the common language is say Dragon Ball, you're talking about either the entirety of the entire franchise or you're just talking about Z. Because 90% of the people that watch Dragon Ball Z or know Dragon Ball Z do not know Dragon Ball. It's not even the same fan. I went into this story literally halfway through the entire story. There is almost 200 and something episodes or something like that for Dragon Ball. I could be wrong, don't quote me, but there are at bare minimum 100 and something episodes of Dragon Ball as Goku as a kid. You wouldn't even understand why Goku holds the values that he holds as an adult if you didn't watch Dragon Ball. So people get into Dragon Ball Z and they're like, it's always been about fighting and really cool transformations. No, it hasn't. It was about a kid that had his grandfather murdered by himself and he didn't know, and this woman, this little teenage girl, came in contact with him, shot at him, and decided, whoa, hold on, he's really strong. He's not affected by my bullets. Boma, freaking evil as shit. That's why people that really know the history of Dragon Ball and like actually like all of Dragon Ball, including Z stuff, they always say that Bulma is actually a shitty character because she's shooting at a child. She's 16. Goku was freaking 12, bro. 12, 11, 12, 13, whatever at the start of his Dragon Ball. You're gonna say, oh, I'm scared. I found a monkey boy in the woods. I'm gonna shoot him. Like, that's fucking crazy, right? Goku went through a lot of stuff. He went through a lot of stuff. None of that was about him transforming. It was about his character transforming, him understanding stuff. Goku's character as an adult solely derives from him meeting Ader, which you probably only know from 1 or 2 episodes max in Z that they mentioned him. Goku went to check on him. There was a whole arc, 2 arcs, 2 of them about Ader, and he showed up multiple times throughout Dragon Ball. He taught Goku to sit there and not be the way they are. Goku wanted to murder somebody because of how they treated him. He was like, nah, bro, because that doesn't make that makes you just as bad as they are. He taught him that lesson about peace. Gohan wouldn't be who he is without Kid Goku being who he was first. See what I'm saying? It's like you came into the story midway and you got the audacity to be like, it's always been about this. No, the fuck it wasn't, bro.
Biggest argument is usually Super Saiyan 3. But I think
like people that get into Dragon Ball have this really bad, they have like this really bad identity as a fan group of not knowing their own show, and it always is apparent. It just proves itself all the time.
That completely misses the point of what Super Saiyan 3 was supposed to be, because Goku turning Super Saiyan 3 is not supposed to be like the previous 2 Super Saiyan transformation moments. It's supposed to have the opposite effect. In the 2 arcs that came before, the only way to save the day was a new Super Saiyan transformation. That was their only option. But in this arc, Goku busts out a new Super Saiyan transformation almost at the beginning of the arc, and his hair is like 4 times longer than before, but it's still not enough to beat the villain.
That's not true. That's not true. I will correct you right there. It was enough to beat the villain. Goku himself deliberately and specifically said, I just didn't want to do the one. I didn't want to be the one to save the day because the kids have to learn how to defend the Earth. That's just Goku being Goku, bro. He was like, this is my way, my flawed way of teaching without actually verbally saying it. He's like, I want to give the kids a chance. Goku was stronger than Majin Buu at that moment in time. There was multiple moments in the Buu saga that Goku could have ended the entire saga if he wanted to.
Case in point, he could have destroyed Deborah. He could have been beaten Majin Vegeta. He could have beaten Majin Buu. He could have stopped and stepped in during the tournament and stopped Gohan from even getting captured. He could have done a lot of things. He had so many opportunities and moments that he could have just ended the entire saga, the entire arc.
He literally did not want to. He said that. He said, I wanted to give the kids a chance so they know how it's like to save the Earth, because I'm not always going to be here, which is something I hate Super for as well. Super literally degrades Goku's mental value by so fucking much. Goku wasn't even that stupid that he is in Super as a child. Goku as a child was ignorant. He literally did not know stuff. Goku as an adult is battle smart, and he's really, really intelligent. He's just not book smart. You could go across one of your friends right now, if you have any. I know we live in this day and age, but you could go across some people you know, whether it's at your workplace or whatever. They're probably a little bit better at hands-on activities than they are at book activities. Or they're probably really good at this activity versus another activity. Even you watching this video right now, if you have a job, you've probably been a type of person of, I learn better when I'm applying myself physically and doing it. But the next person might be somebody that learns better from those tutorial and training videos that you sit down at a computer and they teach you how to do your job. And they give you all the regimen and all of the to do and how and what not. And you just learn and boom, you got it clicked in your brain. And there's a lot of people out there that do not learn that way. They have to learn by physically doing the activity, and they're like, oh, okay, my body is used to this. I'm getting in the rhythm of this. I'm that type of person. You can tell me to do something, and until I actually physically do it, it does not register in my brain, and I don't learn it. You could tell me a million times how to do something, how to play something. That is why I love like video games so much. Is a lot of video games tell you shit right before you do it, and then you do it, and then it's in your brain forever. Damn near, as long as you're playing the game.
It's supposed to show that what saved them the last 2 times,
but yeah,
won't save them this time. And they're supposed to his hair is like 4 times
this is just inaccurate,
longer than before.
That's not
but
true.
It's still not enough to beat the villain.
It's a common misconception too. It's a huge common misconception. The same thing with Gohan. Gohan turning Super Saiyan 2, he literally could have ended the entire Cell arc as soon as he turned Super Saiyan. But he's a Saiyan. He wanted to play with him.
To show that what saved them the last 2 times won't save them this time, and they're going to have to find a different solution. Now, it's clear that Toriyama changed his mind a few times about what that solution was going to be, but we can for sure say it wasn't a new transformation. What I think the original solution was going to be was the younger generation. I think it's clear that the theme of the Buu arc was going to be to trust the future generation.
Oh, okay, no, he's talking about it right now.
The ending of the Cell arc, the beginning of the Buu arc, and the lack of Goku's presence and the focus on Goten and Trunks. So for
yeah, I mean, people. This is another thing. I hate when people come up to me about Dragon Ball, or we're like people, family, or like distant friends and acquaintances or whatever, and Dragon Ball gets brought up, and they always talk about how it's like it's not. Dragon Ball has always been about everyone. Dragon Ball Super is the Goku and Vegeta show. Dragon Ball Z, although they didn't display as much of the Z Warriors as was shown in Dragon Ball, they still had all pretty significant time outside of Yamcha. Like, technically, Yamcha did have a good arc inside of the start of Dragon Ball Z. There was a moment, I mean, they kill Goku off in the start of Dragon Ball Z because it's supposed to be Gohan's story. You got Dragon Ball, and you have a little bit of adult Goku in Dragon Ball. After the Piccolo fight, getting up to his marriage. And even a little bit after the marriage, too. Yeah, there's like a little pushing a little extra, too. And then you get to Z, and within the first 5 episodes, Goku dies. And the only time you see him are like these really offhanded, I'm running on Snake Way, ha ha ha, oh shoot, I fell off Snake Way, whoa, what am I gonna do? It takes him forever. It takes him literally through most of season 1 to even get to King Kai, bro. All of that time was focused on Gohan. It was so fucking fire. Gohan learning to be more grown up, more mature, learning that he's a Saiyan warrior, low-key, and that he needs to learn to defend the Earth, and working with his dad's freaking main antagonistic villain, learning to put differences aside and say, you're not that bad, Mr. Piccolo. Maybe you're changing too. Maybe you are. And he had saved those kids. Well, he couldn't save those because he got to see the different versions of Earth. Like, he literally had to travel the entire Earth by himself on foot. Piccolo gave him a couple of apples here and there and helped him get down from like a really tall height one time. But the majority of that it's focused on Gohan. And then after that, it focused on Tien, Krillin, Yamcha, Chiaotzu, all training for Vegeta and Nappa coming to Earth. Like, people just forget the start of Z. Like, it still had a lot of its roots focused on the Z Warriors. You got to see that they was training in this time looped space that's not the time chamber that Mr. Popo and Kami put them in to give them at least a semblance of like, yo, these are what the Saiyans are like. This is what their home planet looks like now.
Dragon Ball Super to completely abandon all the other side characters, especially the next generation, focused almost entirely on Goku and Vegeta, and introduced like a million transformations, I think is an incredibly stupid direction to go. The worst—
Yeah, bro, I really dislike how they treat my boy Goten. Goten is one of my favorite characters of all of Dragon Ball.
part I think is Goten and Trunks. They had a huge role in the Buu arc, but get nothing, and I mean nothing, to do in Super, like at all. I don't want to talk about the movies or the manga in this video, but that scene at the end of the superhero movie made me actually like real life mad. It genuinely felt like the writers wanted to make me angry. Now compare this to GT, where the three main characters are Pan, Trunks, and Kid Goku. Okay, yeah, he's not actually a kid, but still, they actually tried to incorporate the younger generation. Now, despite them getting a lot of screen time, does Trunks and Pan get any character development or do anything significant in the story?
Pan a little bit.
No, not really.
Pan a little bit, because without Pan, Goku would have never even turned Super Saiyan 4.
But again, I don't think either of these shows are good. But man, do decisions like these make me
I think one of the things that makes GT so, like, just so good over Super is the music. Super as a show, again, excluding the movies, Super as a show had trash music outside of literal fights. GT just had baseline fire-ass music.
Respect GT so much more. Goten is also way more involved than in Super, and they actually give it—
Yeah, okay, I'm actually a big fan of how Goten looked here. Sorta. I just wish that he did keep his, his Goku look, but I get they did this to make him look more distinct.
I'm a really cool person.
And it makes sense too, because he's almost like, hey, I'm sort of copying Gohan's hairstyle as he got older. And obviously you want to look up to your older brother and stuff.
Personality. I love how they make him distinct from Goku and Gohan, and that all three of them get completely different personalities. He even gets a fight with the main villain of the arc, and he's just a really entertaining character to follow in general, even if he's not—
It is pretty fire. I think it's really cool that he kind of like a ladies' man, even though like, the last time we seen him, he's just like this 7-year-old kid.
doing anything important, which is something I can say about a lot of the returning cast, to be honest, because they're the same characters we know from C, which is something I definitely can't say about Super, because Goku and the others feel like they've been all replaced with AI.
Yeah, that is so fucking true. That shit has never been even more true for Piccolo, bro.
The amount of times they act out of character or just do things that are so out of line with what we know about the characters before is very concerning. Lately, I've been seeing a lot of people say that Goku wasn't that stupid in Super and people are over exaggerating and that Goku has always been kind of silly, and I have no idea how people can say this with a straight face because Goku is an absolute fucking doofus in Dragon Ball Super. This is one of the biggest examples to me of the Super writers having a really surface level understanding of Dragon Ball. It's like they look at Dragon Ball and are like, okay, Goku is—
You can't tell me that Goku is always— I don't even know where this shit came from, because he has a lighthearted personality. People just be like, yeah, he's always kind of just been goofy and shit. No, he has goofy moments. Go and watch all of Dragon Ball Z again. Show me where he's just being goofy for the sake of being goofy in the middle of a fucking fight, bro. That nigga was always on timing, dog. First thing we get introduced, he's like, okay, yeah, I'm chilling with my son. Tell me he was being a doofus and being all goofy when his son was getting— yeah, when Gohan was trapped on a log in a river going down a waterfall, Goku was racing like his life depended on it off of Nimbus, bro. Come on, bro. My man Goku in the Ginyu Saga / more Frieza Saga literally went to Gohan and was like, I'm telling you, leave right now because I may not be able to control myself. Like, he's basically saying, Gohan, if you don't leave, I'm probably gonna kill you, my own son. I just watched my best friend get blown up. I'm about to go crazy on this dude. Goku always has some good goofiness, sure, but he's hella serious, bro, as an adult.
and stupid.
Goku's goofiness is strictly pertaining to Dragon Ball.
And like, yeah, that's true, but there's a lot of different levels of stupid, and there's a big difference between being a little silly and like having terminal brain damage. Like, see,
Very much, very much. Look at
Goku
this.
would never forget.
Look at that. Show me a panel in Super where he has this look towards somebody. Mind you, he's facing universal damages to his entire multiverse, the whole ecosystem. Never has he had one of these looks towards anybody in all of Super. Not even Barris. That was like, I'm going to destroy your whole fucking planet. And then you progress planet to Universal, and he doesn't give him one of these looks that he had towards Frieza, Vegeta, Nappa. They not even threatening. I mean, they threatened the same thing. I'm gonna destroy the Earth, right? They said we're gonna take it over. This is one of them looks that he gave Nappa. Nappa was trying to crack jokes with him, like, who the hell is this dude? Goku's like, I'm not even. It completely ignores him, breaks his back. Then he talks to. He doesn't even share really a conversation with Nappa. He fucking blows through Nappa, and then he looks at Vegeta and is like, I think your fucking friend, I think your partner needs help. Leave here now. Bro, I fucking love adult Goku,
The
bro.
seal for the Mafuba. Could you imagine if in the Saiyan saga, when he went to save the rest of the Sea Fighters from Nappa and Vegeta, that he like forgot the Sensu beans? That would never happen, and that's not Vegeta that he like forgot the Sensu beans.
I seen that shit flash. Or forgot them on his way to Namek or Cell games. Exactly. But he does that shit in fucking.
That would never happen, and that's not nearly as important as the thing they were going to use to defeat the main villain in the first place. Or how he doesn't understand that Bulma is pregnant is way bigger and everyone around him makes it pretty damn obvious. Oh, and also the fact that he literally has 2 children himself, plus a grandchild. This is like something I'd expect from Kid Goku, because Kid Goku had lived on a mountain for like his whole life not seeing any humans, so he was ignorant to a lot of things in the world. But this is like 50-year-old Goku. Once again, Goku is not that dumb. He is capable of putting 2 and 2 together, and there are many examples of that in C. Like when he first meets future Trunks, and Trunks tells him that his mom made the time machine and knows who Goku is. Instantly after Trunks says that, Goku realizes that Bulma is Trunks' mom. At least in GT, bro. Goku acts like Goku. He can be a bit silly there too, but not to the point where he's ever as dumb as in Super. Vegeta is also someone who is always in character in GT. Every line.
Ooh, fucking facts. No, I'm gonna dance around like a little bitch, bro.
To Vegeta from C. And his final talk with Pan at the end is beautiful and a million times better than anything he says in Super. Because in Super, he doesn't even want to. Because
this talk is reminiscent to the talk he gave to his son. It's reminiscent to that when in Blue Saga he's like, I'm about to fucking die. And he knocks, well, he technically didn't talk to Trunks, but he did say, I love you to Trunks, knocks him out, tells Piccolo to get them away. Was it Piccolo or Krillin? I can't remember. It was one of the two. Tells him to get them away, right? And then he has an entire inner monologue and finishes by saying, even you go. Well, obviously he said Kakarot, but like, you get what I'm saying. That was what G was
better
getting.
than anything he says
Get his
in Super,
character.
because in Super he doesn't even want to fuse. Both before fusing into Vegito and Gogeta, he doesn't want to do it at first. But why? Why wouldn't he want to fuse? He should have overcome this by now. He's done the fusion before. He should be used to it, especially after all the other things he's done in Super itself. In GT, Vegeta is the one who brings up the idea of fusion in the first place. Not only that, but he says it like it's a given that they're going to fuse. Because, I mean, yeah, it should be. Every character from Super is a shell of their actual self. And when I think about—
Hold on now. Don't touch my nigga Krillin, bro. Krillin been the GOAT in every show he's in.
those versions,
If anything, they did my bro Krillin wrong in it. Krillin was showing off his battle IQ like a motherfucker, bro, in Super.
The characters, I just remember everything about them that I hate. And some characters, I swear Super straight up goes out of their way to disrespect. They must have a
Also, I actually fuck with Yamcha's design in Super.
Personal vendetta against Majin Buu because what they did to him was actually insane. He was going to join the Universe 6 tournament.
And he would have dogged them, bro. Majin Buu, y'all gotta remember, Majin Buu as an entity is a godlike figure in itself. He was bodying Kais. He is a godlike figure in itself. He would have been going nuts. Imagine Buu absorbing people. Bro, we should have got Buu instead of Frieza.
But he fell asleep.
See, now that's some bullshit.
Then he has an off-screen training arc where he gets skinny and is supposed to join the Tournament of Power, but once again, he falls asleep. This was not funny the first time, and I promise you it is still not funny the second time. And this is just the worst excuse they could pull out.
It's weird. It's like they shaped Super to be so kid-friendly, so kid-like. Your fan base isn't kids, bro. Your fan base are niggas that grew up with this.
Because it was established in the Buu arc that he only sleeps for 5 seconds. Why even make us think that he's going to be a part of the story in the first place? Worst excuse they could pull out because it was established in the
Time to kill. Okay then. I said 5 seconds.
Buu arc that he only sleeps for 5 seconds. Why even make us think that he's going to be a part of the story in the first place? Like, I actually don't understand.
Video's fire. Give it a like, bro. This video's fire as fuck, bro. This video is fire as fuck.
Now compare that to GT, where admittedly he doesn't really do much here either, but what he does get is a million times better. When he sees Oob in danger, he says his goodbyes to Mr. Satan.
This shit made me cry, bro. This shit made me cry. Nothing in Super made me cry. GT has multiple I'm gonna cry moments. Pan with Goku, Super Saiyan 4. Oob and Buu with Mr. Satan, aka Hercule. Vegeta with Pan. Goku leaving after the Universal Spirit Bomb. That's 4 bangers. Show me one emotional moment that Dragon Ball has always had in them in Super. Don't exist.
One friend in the whole world and becomes a part of Buu. This is not only a better moment than whatever you got in Super,
like,
but
Buu
a really
has
good
maturity.
Moment.
Buu isn't just a fucking punching, laughing gag, bro. I never get it. It's like Super took the stereotype of what their characters has inside of their characteristics, and they was like, this is the entire character now. That's not who they are. That's never been who they are. Buu didn't even get mad in Super. Buu got mad in GT. Buu for sure got mad in Z. When that motherfucker opened up that nigga's eyes, oh, it's a rap, bro. It's raps. Come on. You didn't get any characteristic of Buu as an actual character. You got one archetype of his character in Super.
In itself, seeing Majin Buu do such a big act of selflessness is really rewarding and
but
a
obviously,
really good full circle
they
moment.
freaking,
and this moment was possible because of Buu
they
and
freaking
two characters that
God's
either
work
weren't in Super
too.
at all or just slept the entire time. Why
Oob
couldn't Buu
so
have been
cool.
replaced with Tien? He didn't do jack shit in the tournament. Why was he even there? He shows up a bunch in Super just to do nothing.
It would have replaced Frieza.
Nothing. Now granted, his screen time in GT is not exactly much, but at least that's in keeping with the trajectory of his character up until that point. Like, he didn't even show up in the Buu arc tournament at all. He just stayed home with Chaozu. And I love Tien. I think he's an incredible character in OG Dragon Ball, so I wish he didn't have to fade into the background of the story. But again, my point is that at least GT actually recognizes that fact. But one of the worst ones is Gohan. Gohan is a fan favorite character in the Cell and Buu arc, but have you ever heard someone say Gohan is their favorite Dragon Ball Super character? Again, I really don't want to talk about superhero and the movies in this video because I feel like that's a whole different video for another day, but in the main anime,
I'm gonna make it right now. I know I'm gonna get fucking I hate the character. I hate the movie. I didn't like the movie at all. I hate the entire arc of the movie. It's dumb. Move on.
Gets disrespected time and time again, and it's clear that whoever was writing the show had absolutely no idea what to do with him. Right off the bat, we get one of the worst moments in all of Dragon Ball where they try to recreate Piccolo's sacrifice for Gohan in the most tasteless, boneless, lazy ass way that does not contain any of the qualities that made the original moment so good in the first place. This moment actually gave me secondhand embarrassment for Gohan the first time I watched it. He then proceeds to not do anything at all for the next 2 arcs, then he trains for a day and is all of a sudden fighting Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken Goku. Great. He doesn't do anything of note during the tournament at all, aside from being a shell of his former self, and that's it for Gohan in Dragon Ball Super. I like the way he prioritizes his family and career like he does in GT as well, but they can't even really commit to that fully. It's like they were constantly unsure of whether or not they wanted him to be a fighter or not. And look, does Gohan get anything to do in GT? No, but at least he acts and behaves just like I expect Gohan to act at this point, and no damage is done to his character.
Again, the thing about Dragon Ball GT is it feels like a continuation. Also, here's my thing about storylines. If you are a continuation or a sequel, you do not need to focus on every character. Would I have enjoyed GT more if there was more characters in it to enjoy? Yes, absolutely. The ones that I feel like should have gotten more shine. Goten in particular. Gohan had his moment. This feels like a good developmental arc for Gohan. Vegeta and everyone else had their moments. It feels like a good arc. Like, it just feels like a good progressive arc for those characters. Yen Shinhan not being solely in the rotation of main cast members makes sense. He had a ridiculously good amount of screen time in Dragon Ball. Each arc, or I would say, each arc, because I'm not going to refer to them as sagas, that's different. Those are like chapters. Each literal arc of the Dragon Ball timeline does not need to have all of the quote-unquote Z Warriors hyper-focused on them, which is why I personally don't ever have a massive deal with like certain characters not getting a bunch of screen time as much as everybody else does. However, in Super, I don't feel like it's right to just say this is the Dragon, this is the Goku and Vegeta. Why? What's the point in that? Okay, there's no point in that. Especially when so much of the shit and the content in it is regurgitated. Like I hate when people be like, oh, well, if you don't like it, just don't watch it. I am upset out of passion. You get upset because you really care about something. It's the same way of you getting upset at like your son or your brother or whatever, or your mom for doing some shit. Like, well, just move away from them. Like, no, nigga, that's not the point, bro. You really care for them. You really want them to do better. Or a friend really hurts you some type of way. It's like, you try to get through it with them. And if they eventually don't change, then yeah, you say shit is crappy. Then you move away from it. I consumed all of Super and I was like, this shit is ass. It never changed. I kept on giving it chances. It's fully over. Now I leave it alone. If they put super characters in video games, I fucks with it. There's some things and some elements that I love about Super. I actually really do like Caulifla and Kale. Do I love how they turn Super Saiyan back tingling? Fuck no. That shit's ass, bro. But again, if they're in a video game, I'm for sure going to prioritize playing as dumb as maybe a character from Z or Dragon Ball. I think they're fun characters in the right media. Simple as that. I don't like Beast Gohan, nor do I like the entire superhero movie. Would I play as him in Sparking Zero? Yes. If they put him in Genshin Squadron, am I playing as him? If he's a good character, yes. They're fun in specific mediums. As a story narrative, fuck no. Just no. It's just not good. It's just not good, bro. Y'all can hate on me all y'all want. It's just not good. And it's okay to be okay. It's okay to leave some characters behind when you get to a sequel. When you read a book and it has a sequel, it don't have all the characters from the beginning, but when you can look at the entire series when something is done, you're like, oh yeah, that show was cool. Or the movies, right? Not every character is every Marvel movie or every other movie that comes out. You have your main characters. Goku is the main character. All his friends, he does not have to be a part of every single generation of, but it should never just be just Goku
character. And for the person who gets disrespected the worst, we have Future Trunks.
Oh
man,
my gosh.
what did they
there's no, bro. Before Goten, Trunks was my hands down favorite character in all of Dragon Ball outside of Piccolo and Gohan. And again, outside of Goku. I like almost always deliberately exclude Goku from the conversation of like favorite characters because he's always going to be a given. Yes, I like Goku a lot. I watched him grow up. Literally watched him grow up from a kid to adult. It's almost like a little proudness moment you have with Goku because like I knew him as a child. As I was a child, I literally knew him as a child. And I watched him get older and mature. He's not supposed to have a really soft demeanor. They made him soft and like slightly airheaded. Why?
do to you?
Oh my
Future
gosh.
Trunks is easily one of my favorite Dragon.
He comes in serious. Even when the timeline changes, because technically we have 3 different versions of Future Trunks in Dragon Ball Z. All 3, though, were all serious.
Dragon Ball character.
Some of them lighthearted, yes. One experienced things that the other didn't. The first Future Trunks we get introduced to dies. Off screen dies. The second one we're introduced to dies. The third one is the one that we all know, basically, that fights in the Cell games, right? And then we have this new one where his hair is blue now.
He just has so much sauce, bro. But sometimes I kind of feel like he could have had just a bit of a bigger role in the Cell Saga. Like, just a little bit. Mainly towards the end. Especially considering that's the only arc he's in. So, for him to return to the story is something I'd be completely on board with. But I cannot look at him the same way after what I witnessed in Dragon Ball Super. They turned this man into a complete bitch. He does not have nearly the same level of charisma or wit. And honestly, just feels like a completely different person. The reason he returned to the past and sea was to save our timeline, but also get trained by people like Goku and Vegeta so he himself could go back to his own timeline and beat the androids. And that's exactly what he did. He didn't need anyone else's help. He could do it himself. But here he's basically solely relying on Goku and Vegeta to beat the bad guy for him. He trains with Vegeta for like 10 minutes and that's it. He feels so undetermined, so unmotivated.
I will say, green fit he had on was tough.
Like 10 minutes and
was
that's
tough.
it.
I
He
fucks
feels
with that,
so
that sweater, bro. That
so
shit was tough.
Unmotivated, so boring. The only thing I like about Trunks in this arc is when they reveal how he dealt with the Buu arc. By just working with Kaioshin and not letting Buu get revived at all. That is exactly how Trunks would handle this situation. Exactly. And is one of the few moments it actually seemed like the writers understood a character. But unfortunately, that's the only time they understand Trunks. Because man, does it just get worse and worse for my man. I have no idea why he feels the need to always argue and debate against Zamasu and Goku Black. 70% of his dialogue in this arc is just, you're wrong, Zamasu, mortals are actually awesome, which is completely different to how he acted in C, which was a lot more...
If they set that android free, it will be the end of all of us! No!
Keep in mind, the villains this time around just killed his mom. You'd think he wouldn't be trying to reason with them at all, especially because it turns out that they can't be reasoned with at all. He then gets Super Saiyan Rage. Like, come on, this is just dumb. Why do characters get transformations that are unique to them? It always feels so cheap and so unearned. And this one is just so dumb. Like, he got so angry he unlocked a new transformation called Super Saiyan Rage. Yeah, alright, buddy. It's like they were trying to do the "there's a beast inside me" meme. Oh wait, the sword spirit bomb thing obviously sucks too, but the absolute worst part, and the thing that really makes me not able to look at future Trunks the same way as I used to, is the ending of this arc. Not only Trunks' Earth, but the entire universe gets erased by Senno. The whole fucking universe. Now, regardless of how much of a cop-out this ending is, can we talk about why Trunks is just fine with this? Like, he does not react to it at all, even though everyone he had been fighting to protect the whole arc, including these two children, are now dead. Not only dead, but erased. They cannot even go to the afterlife. Why does he never show a reaction to this? And worst of all, instead of, I don't know, just living with a gang in their timeline, they decide to live in a version of their timeline without Zamasu, but have to live with alternate versions of themselves, and they're fine with it. They think this is okay. They all act like this is normal. Who greenlit this? Who thought this was a good idea? What?
I'm not even joking. This entire version of Trunks ruined future Trunks for me. If I see him in a game, I deliberately go out of my way to never play as him. I've played as him a few times in Sparking Zero just to see his moveset. Fucking ass, bro. I just don't like him.
Sort of message am I supposed to take away from this? Like, what the actual fuck? But what really sucks is that this completely invalidates Trunks' journey in C. Trunks had spent his whole life fighting the androids and living under their terror. He finally managed to beat them and save his timeline, which was a really rewarding moment, and his journey in arc came to a close. But it turns out none of that fucking mattered, because 8 years later they're all just gonna die anyway, and not just his planet, the whole universe. I wish this arc did not exist at all, because the amount of damage it does is insane. You know what future Trunks does in GT?
I literally remember sitting there talking with my cousin about how fucking ass the whole future Trunks shit makes zero sense.
Nothing. He's not even in it. It's insane. You know what future Trunks does in GT? Nothing. He's not even in it, and I much prefer that to whatever the hell they gave us in Super. And what really...
Yeah, because they basically... Trunks grew up. Is the future Trunks, but better. Literally grew up as a better child.
Sucks is that this is the last time we will ever see future Trunks again. I very highly doubt that they will ever put him back into Dragon Ball in the future. So this was our one chance, and they did... I don't even know what they did. This arc also does something that the show does over and over again. That sucks just as much every time, which is how they will retcon or just straight up forget certain rules or lore or mechanics. The Potara one is, I think, the biggest example of this in the Goku Black arc. I don't understand why people even try to defend this, because it's so dumb. It's made very clear that the Potara fusion is permanent in C, but for some reason they retconned it so that there's a timer on it. The explanation they give is that when Goku and Vegeta defused back in the Buu arc, it was because of the timer instead of the fact that Vegeta let his barrier down. And this is just such a dumb reason, because you mean to tell me that they just happened to defuse at the exact moment that Vegeta let down his barrier? And the old Kai implies that he has seen mortals fuse before, meaning
the whole thing about it being permanent was such a big deal, and it was exactly why it took Vegeta so much time to digest and stomach becoming an actual part of, like, he couldn't fathom. It wasn't just, I'm gonna do a fusion dance. It was, I have to be a part of somebody that's my rival, and I genuinely dislike his personality as a whole forever.
He would have seen firsthand if it was permanent or not, which is
and also, where's Kaioshin? Retconned it, huh? Yeah.
Exactly what he tells Goku that it is. But apparently it's not permanent, because the writers wanted them to defuse, even though they literally have a fusion dance that they can use that has the exact same time limit. Like, what's the point? And the worst part is that this makes it so that there is no difference between the Potara earrings and the fusion dance. Like, they function in the exact same way now, so what's the point in having two ways to fuse? This is the type of shit that Super pulls on a consistent basis. Another example is the way Dende rebuilds the Room of Spirit and Time, but just gets rid of the time limit. Now, it technically makes sense that he's able to do this, sure, but it feels really cheap, and you gotta wonder why the hell the 40...
I will say, that doesn't bother me as much, because Dende has always been a crazy-ass prodigy. he's really strong for who he is as a guardian and like what his powers entail.
Yeah, our rule was implemented in the first place.
Like he's doing stuff that Kami was doing as much older Namekian. Just as an adolescent, it just doesn't matter. One thing that does tick me off, like really tick me off about Dende's character though, is like he's almost never growing.
Basically, what I mean by that, trying to keep it a lot shorter than how I was explaining it here, plus the audio was cutting in and out so much. If you watch Dragon Ball, the first time you see Piccolo Jr., he's hatching out of the egg from Goku defeating and killing King Piccolo, and by the time you see Piccolo Jr. inside of the World Martial Arts Tournament, the 23rd World Martial Arts Tournament, he's 3 years old and is an adult. Namekians naturally grow older. Why is it that for Dende, we have seen him multiple times throughout the show over many years time spans, and he's still not an adult? It's always like, yeah, he's growing older, but he's like a teenager in a sense. It's like, when is he going to have his actual adult body, right? It took so long for him to get his literal adult body. It's just weird.
And they was able to just remove it. Could Kami or Dende have removed the time limit back when they were training for Cell? Because that sure would have been useful. See what I mean? It's like they don't think before they do these retcons. There's also Vegeta blowing up the time chamber from the inside, even though that just doesn't make any sense at all. Like, these things make me wonder if they've even read or watched Dragon Ball more than once. And it's frustrating because they will do these retcons and new rules with the highest amount of confidence and still get it so wrong. Like the way they explain that Shin's life is linked to Beerus. This is just wrong for so many reasons. Like, why was Shin so willing to give up his life to Goku with no second thought? Why did he even put his life on the line at all? Couldn't he just ask Beerus to take care of it? Even if Beerus didn't really care about Majin Buu like that, I'm sure that he'd care about it if his own life was on the line. And because I know someone is going to comment it, there is actually a reason as to why Beerus didn't help, and it's because he was asleep. And also, there used to be 5 Kaioshin. Why was Beerus' life specifically linked to Shin? What about old Kai? Was his life linked to a god of destruction? And what about when Shin fused with Kibito? How were they so sure that that wouldn't kill Beerus? Which, by the way, Shin and Kibito decide to just defuse again, because why keep any decisions made in the original series? And you know, I really don't care too much about these things individually, but it's the fact that it happens again and again and again. Like, why the hell is Mai the same age as Trunks when she's supposed to look like what she does in GT? I know they explain that in the manga, but it does not happen in the anime at all. And like I said, I don't really want to talk about the manga in this video, especially because of how different the two are. Also, the explanation just sucks anyway, and the whole thing is just really weird. I can go on and on about this. I don't even want to go into how badly they fucked up the time travel rules, because that'll take all day. Same with power scaling. And GT does maybe have a few issues like this, so does the original story to be honest, but like not even close to the level of Super. Characters don't just—
I'm so glad he's like micro-analyzing these.
5,000x their strength after 1 day of training, and they actually use some mechanics in cool ways that make sense that Super doesn't really use at all. Like the Great Ape, Goku's tail, the way Goku uses his—
oh, that animation style, the art style is just
Kamehameha to launch himself, Majin Buu's absorption ability, the water from the garlic art. But most importantly, it doesn't go out of its way to break or retcon pre-established rules every other episode. Another way I think it's clear where GT really tried to honor what came before it is with its ideas themselves, specifically with its arcs. The first arc starts with a classic Hunt for the Dragon Balls, where they really try to bring back those OG Dragon Ball vibes, especially by making Goku a kid again. We haven't had an arc of just hunting the Dragon Balls since OG, to the point where the Dragon Balls just kind of slowly turned into this convenient—
yeah, definitely not an entire arc, but they have gathered the Dragon Balls
plot device that they just use whenever they need it. So getting a whole arc to hunt them is a really good idea, especially the way they're scattered throughout the whole universe. Now, whether or not they pulled off that idea well is anyway, next up we have the baby arc, and this one is really cool too, showing the remnants race that the Saiyans wiped out, wanting revenge on them, but ending up being just as bad as the Saiyans is pretty dope, especially so because it's a race we've actually seen before. And the next arc, Yeah, maybe we should just skip this one. But, you know, I can at least say that not even in my wildest dreams could I think of what happens in this arc, because it is fucking crazy. And honestly, the idea of hell opening up and being connected to the world of the living with all the villains they've defeated coming back to fight them is a really good idea. I mean, hell is a pretty unexplored area of Dragon Ball, so it's kind of...
Except in GT, I will shit on GT a little bit right here. It's established canonically, Dragon Ball Z, that when you die, if you go to hell, do not have a body. At all, you don't have a body.
A full circle moment. Whether or not these ideas were executed well is... no, it's not even debatable. This shit fucking sucked mega ass. And then the last arc, I think, has a genius idea, making the overuse and reliance of the Dragon Balls a consequence. Each wish in Dragon Ball gets manifested into a dragon that they need to defeat. This arc is all about the Dragon Balls, which is perfect because this is the ending of Dragon Ball. I like that the Dragon Balls are such a big part of GT because they should.
And then they had the Dragon Ball thing. Had the whole...
Super Dragon Balls, I suppose, but they were always kind of a thing in the background. It wasn't like a huge motivator. And its ideas for the arcs are so boring and unoriginal. Battle of Gods is the only one I can't say this about, as it feels fresh enough. But the next arc is literally just, what if Frieza came back? Again. Then we have a tournament arc, and then we have evil Goku, and what if Future Trunks came back? And lastly, we have another tournament arc. And I don't at all hold anything against Super for doing tournament arcs, especially because they're a big part of Dragon Ball, and I can appreciate the last one being a battle royale as it switches up the format, but it doesn't change how unoriginal it is. And keep in mind that Super is twice as long as GT. I also wanted to talk about the character designs for a minute, because I really do not like Super's character designs. Now, obviously there were some key differences between the two shows when it came to the designs, as they take place at completely different times in the story. Super takes place 4 years after the Buu arc, whereas GT is 15 years afterwards. So there's about a 10-year time difference between the two. Since Super is right between the Buu arc and the end of C, it had to come up with designs that made sense to be between those two time periods. Whereas GT only really needed to take into account
didn't have to come up with designs, just use them from end of Z.
End of the C.
Or before it's like the very, very end of
designs, as GT takes place 5 years after that. And I think the two biggest designs Super really fumbles on are Goku and Vegeta themselves. For Goku, I think they just took a very lazy route, giving him this plain orange gi that just looks so lame. I get that the orange is supposed to complement his blue hair, but it's just so bland. And halfway through the show, he just goes back to his C outfit. It's like they knew it looked terrible, but didn't have the balls to try another new design, so they just went back to the safe option. In comparison, I really like GT Goku's outfit. It feels like a natural progression of his end of C outfit, and I like how they...
That shit is so good.
Progression of his...
This is a progression that shows Goku's OG colors.
End of C outfit, and I like how they managed to keep the blue and orange colors, but in a different way than his original gi. So Goku's Super design is kind of whack, but what I really hate is Vegeta's Super design, because they gave him the battle armor. Why in the actual fuck does Vegeta still have this piece of absolute garbage battle armor? We were done with this shit back in the Cell Saga. This is the last panel he should have ever worn it. So why does he go through the entirety of Super wearing it? Just like Goku, he gets this off-brand ass armor that quickly gets changed back to his original. Unlike Goku, this is not just lazy, it's just wrong in my opinion. I think Vegeta's GT design is perfect, at least in terms of the direction of it. He just wears normal Earth clothes. His hair has even been cut and stripped back. It's clear that he's become more of an Earthling and less of a Saiyan. He even has a mustache, which he shaves off because his daughter didn't like it.
And then Vegeta getting his mustache makes sense because
This is exactly what Vegeta should be wearing, a natural progression for him. Even if Super really wanted him to wear clothes more fit for battle, they should have at least given him something that looks more like his Buu Saga outfit. Bulma's design is also pretty whack. She cares so much about her looks throughout the whole show that you'd think she would act like in C, where she switched up her outfit and hair like every other day.
Which was so cool.
I can definitely buy this look from GT Bulma. She's gotten
Bulma
older and
had
has
some
sort of stopped
fire.
caring as much, but I do still wish her
designs.
ever-changing styles was something that was continued in both shows. Comparing the Trunks designs is kind of pointless as their age are also different, but I do have some thoughts. I'm kind of indifferent on the GT Trunks design, but I will say that it's a shame that they got rid of this absolutely dripped up vest thingy that they gave him at the end of C. Like, man, this is some shit that only Toriyama could make, and we will never have designs like this in Dragon Ball ever again. But what is really bizarre is future Trunks' hair in Super. They made it blue. Why? I mean, there is a reason for why, but the reason just makes it even weirder. You see, both Trunks and Bulma originally have purple hair in the manga, except for a few instances, mainly in chapter 1, where Bulma has blue hair. And for the anime, they chose to have Bulma's blue hair, but to keep Trunks' hair purple. So in a sense, this creates kind of a minor inconsistency, like how does black and blue make purple? So an easy fix for this would have been to just change Bulma's hair to purple in Super if they saw this as an issue. That way they would have had the same hair color and it would be manga accurate. But instead they made future Trunks' hair blue. Like, I get that Bulma's blue hair is iconic, but so is Trunks' purple hair. And you know, I would have been fine with this if they gave it like an actual in-universe reason for the change. Like, when I watched his first appearance in Super way back, I just figured he dyed it blue to like honor his mom or something. I thought it was actually kind of wholesome, but no, it's just a retcon of a hair color, which they for some reason didn't want to do with the kid.
That's what I'm saying. Oh my gosh, people. Yeah, I was hoping he brought this up. People that I debate with about this, they will literally say, "Well, he's always been blue." Then why within the same show is Kid Trunks'
Trunks, he still has pink hair, but then the superhero movie comes out and he has blue hair. Like, can we please just make a decision and stick with it? Now, I didn't really expect to talk about Trunks' hair so much, but just to make it even longer, we're doing the Trunks and Bulma hair color tier list. So first off, we have like the normal purple pink hair for both of them, and I think future Trunks really suits it, and honestly, so does Bulma. And then we have like a more blue greenish hair, which I think works fine for Bulma, but Trunks looks kind of ass in this. We then have like the pretty light purple, which I think is like kind of whatever on Bulma, but it looks pretty good on Trunks. We then have like the kind of greenish hair, which I think looks fine for Bulma, but man, this just looks ass on Trunks. I take it back. This can be like a C tier. It's not even that bad, but this for Trunks, man. I also think this is fine for Bulma, but maybe not Trunks as much. It's alright though. And then for these last two, I think look absolutely peak. So yeah, this is my definitive Bulma and Trunks hair tier list. I know you all were really curious. And I'll say that in general, I think the GT designs just work better despite the two trying to do different things. GT never tries to give Gohan the most dripless, sauceless, garbage ass tracksuit and haircut. They're just really good depictions of these characters growing older. 18 looks like a very normal mother in GT, and I think it works really well. I can appreciate them keeping her iconic hair in Super, but man, are all her outfits so sauceless. This is the most plain, generic sets of clothes you could find. What's worse is her Tournament of Power fit, where they just give her some basic ass tracksuits. What's up with Dragon Ball Super and tracksuit? And again, this is a character that loves clothes.
I will say though, when they tried to get all those tracksuits in Xenoverse, bro.
That was one of her main character traits. She started a genocide in the future and destroyed everything aside from the clothing store. How on earth does that same person wear this? And I think the biggest difference in character designs between the two comes with Krillin. Super regresses Krillin's design, giving him back his bald head and making him look younger. On the other hand, I love what they did with him in GT. One of my favorite scenes in GT, if not my favorite, is Goku and Krillin's final moments together. One look at the two of their character designs tells us so much about them. Goku is looking as young as ever, stronger than ever, but Krillin looks like man. These two people who once were equal in strength are now different because of the choices they've taken in life. Goku used every moment and opportunity to get stronger. Fighting and training is what makes him happy, whereas Krillin stepped back and gave up on fighting to care for his family. He gets no second chance to rejoin the fighting and reach Goku's strength, as he missed that chance years ago. Now, I have nothing against a franchise going in a new direction or trying new things, because if you do the same things over and over, it just kind of gets a bit stale after a while. But to me, it does not feel like Super is trying to go in a new direction. It feels like it's trying to do exactly what Dragon Ball Z did, but failing to understand what made Z work in the first place. And in no way am I making this video to say that Dragon Ball GT is perfect, or even that it has a perfect understanding of Dragon Ball, because it definitely.
That ending is perfect, bro. That ending is sad as shit. Old Pan, everybody is dead.
It has inconsistencies too, like how characters are able to sense the android's ki even though androids don't have ki, or the way certain beam attacks should be doing way more damage than they do. And sometimes Super shows moments of deep understanding, like Goku mimicking his fight with his grandfather. Something I don't really think either show does right are the fights. They both have good fights for sure, but none of them quite manage to interweave the story into them like Toriyama did so well, and have more of a focus on the action itself. What I will say is that GT has a lot more violence, and attacks actually feel like they do damage. A lot of the injuries are very gory, and blood is everywhere, just like Dragon Ball always had, while Super doesn't really get worse than this. Ultimately, neither series is going to be perfect, because none of them were created by Toriyama himself.
Not true entirely.
Many people don't think parts of the original felt like Dragon Ball either, so at the end of the day, it's all up to what you prefer. But what I can really respect GT for is trying. Living up to Dragon Ball is a huge task, and regardless of the end result, I can tell they tried their best to honor Akira Toriyama's work. Despite Dragon Ball being one of my favorite stories, this is my first video on it, but make sure to check out one of these videos if you want to hear my thoughts on similar anime.
Bro. Terrific story. Terrific video. I'm like just to like it again, bro. Terrific video. Go support the original. It's awesome. Love this. Allowed me to get some of my thoughts and feelings out about Dragon Ball and where it is and everything like that. So
yeah, so I'm not gonna make you guys sit there through like terrible audio even more. If you even made it this far, you made it through the whole video, you are an absolute legend. Thank you so much for all love and support. If you did enjoy the vibes, make sure you subscribe, because I do really appreciate it, and it does help us to channel the algorithm, helps me grow and get out there more, so I can continue to do things that I love and be here for you guys even more. So once again, I really do apologize for the audio quality. It was horrible, it was trash, and I'll be more vigilant and try to be more careful. Audio things happen, tech things happen. When you're dealing with systems and electronics, things happen. I'm trying my best to not let it get to me. I'll catch you on the next one. Stay safe out there. God bless. Peace.